Hello and welcome back. This isn't going to be a normal video. Over the past week I've been rebuilding my workspace from scratch. I wanted to turn a spare bedroom into a neat modern office to work in, as well as a functional space to make YouTube videos. Now I've been recording a few minutes a day just to document what I was doing really, but I thought you might be interested to see too. So thanks for watching. Okay, Monday the 30th of March, day one of the office redecorating. I've cleared out almost all the furniture, did a little bit last night as well. And now it's that stage where I've got to start making a mess before things start to get better. On day one, I wanted to take up the old carpet and the gripper strips and start to take off the skirting boards. I had some plaster chases to repair around the newly installed light switches and sockets, so I wanted to get that in and drying. Obviously I thought about restoring this nice old wooden floor, but I decided against it. It would mean a lot of repairs, sanding and sealing, and I also like the sound insulation that underlay provides, so I've gone with the same wood laminate that I had in our old place. I was happy with day one, and on the second day I was keen to get some filling done so it could be drying, including the huge hole in the cupboard. I'm using 2-prep powdered filler for the big bits, and for the final layer and smaller holes the Gyprock Easy Filler, which is smooth and very easy to get a good finish. I have to point out that I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to plaster, and this just seemed like the right way to do it. There were some bits to repair at the bottom of the walls, as well as chases to the new switch and sockets to fill. You have to fill in stages, wait for it to dry, sand and fill again. The key to a good finish is preparation. You know, that final coat of paint is really just a finishing touch, and all the hard work goes on beforehand. Don't be too quick to start getting paint on the walls if they're not ready. The ceiling paper had already started to come off, so I thought I'd try our steam cleaner just to see if it worked. The steam clearly helps, but you need a big plate steamer to do the job. So I ran off to Screwfix, not sponsored, to pick up this little beauty, which helped a great deal with stripping the paper. At the end of day two, the paper was all stripped from the ceiling, but there was still lots of glue and little bits of yellow paper up there to be scrubbed and washed off, which was a job for day three. After scrubbing the ceiling, I finished off the filling around the sockets, added some caulk around the joints, and basically made the room as ready as possible for paint on day 4. Day 4 started with a quick trip to the tip to take the old carpet underlay, and then some sanding and dusting and vacuuming, and we're finally ready to bust out the white paint. Here we go. It felt great to finally get some paint out. I was worried about the condition of the ceiling, but even just the first coat really covered the surface and dried very smoothly. While that coat dried, I got into the cupboard to tackle that huge hole. Okay, prepare yourself for some of the best filling that you have seen in the last 5 minutes. In the end, I was able to get the second coat on the ceiling in one day, and it would only need a little touching up on the newly filled areas. On day 5, I started to paint the walls. I'm keeping the cupboard plain white to try and make it a bit lighter in there, and the room is getting Dulux polished pebble, which by coincidence is the same colour my mother-in-law chose for her room. What can I say, the woman has good tastes. Emulsion paint dries quickly, and I was able to get 2 coats done in the room and 3 in the cupboard, and that seemed like enough. Day 6 in the office, and I'm starting to want to get out of this room, but they won't let me go till I've finished, so today it's time to start working on the floor. I started by pulling out staples and things that were sticking out of the floor and trying to eliminate some of the squeaks. Unfortunately though, we hit a bit of a problem. Now let's see, how can I say this without sounding like a complete idiot? There has been a minor setback. Whilst inspecting the floor, some essential remedial work has become visible. And we can't go any further without continuing. It is essential that we repair this. It turns out there is a hole in the radiator pipe. Don't know how it got there. Fortunately, living in a lovely community, Professor Plum is on his way around. There we go, see? No problem at all. The good professor was kind enough to offer a tip for squeaky floorboards, besides just screwing screws all over the place, which is to put watered down PVA in the cracks to stop the squeaks. I think it worked a bit, at least on the less serious ones. Flathead screws, can you believe it? They've been illegal in this country for 40 years. I got the boards out and laid them across the room. What you want to avoid is having a really narrow board at one end. If you would, then you can rip down the width of the first row and share the difference with the last one. But if, like me, you insist on running the flooring across a transition like the cupboard here, you've got to also balance how the boards will start and finish in the second area too. Getting the first row of boards cut and into place takes absolutely ages, but after that the rows go down quite quickly. You can spend a bit of time doing nice cutouts for the radiator pipes and things. It's funny how the smallest pieces take the longest time. The boards went down quite fast. There were 12 different designs and they weren't particularly randomly distributed in the pack, so it's a good idea to sort them all out and then choose from the piles as you go, to make sure you don't get the same patterns close together, which is a dead giveaway that it's not real wood. have a little look at this butt head of a piece. The idea is it can slide far enough under the jamb that it can then slide back again. But because it can't be tilted under the jamb, I've trimmed off the lip on here so I can just shove it backwards, which means I will need to put a bead of glue along there. But I have to take out the previous row, put this in first, then put this row back, then slide it in. Now hopefully, if I'm really lucky, and I am, this little offcut. Oh, get in there, you dickheads. Look at that. Oh, look at it. Look at this. Well, day 7 took a while and was a big success. Day 8 is all about the skirting boards. Gonna sand them, clean them up a bit, fill some holes, paint them white off the walls, and then stick them to the walls. Bit of caulk, bit of filler, another coat of gloss. Shouldn't take that long, right? Now we have to cut a few millimetres off the bottom of the doors so that they go over the higher flooring better. My workbenches are all in use at the moment, so we're going on the picnic table. That was the most that this thing can do. At the end of day 8, I've done a lot of white gloss painting. Gloss paint takes a lot longer to dry than emulsion, so you need to give it good, but it seems like a good 24 hours before you can recoat, which is just as well because tomorrow I've already booked a day off. I'm heading down to London to look at the museums. And I need a break, I need to get out of this room. So day 9 will be the day after tomorrow. And that's it. At the end of day 9, the room is basically finished. There are a couple of fiddly bits left to do, like paint the edges of the door and a couple of touch-ups to wait for, but I'm calling it finished. Sticking the skirting boards on went fine. I used 2 tubes of grab adhesive and 2 of cork, and I'm happy with the result. The long board at the end was so warped that I decided to cut it into sections and fill the gaps, and I'm happy with the way it looks now. I've got to move some furniture back in for now, but the next stage will be to redesign the layout and storage a bit. I need to think about how I want to use the space for work and making videos. It's been tiring, but it felt good to do something practical for this long. So not exactly a holiday, but a welcome change anyway. And it felt like it took ages, but it's worth it for such a great space to work in.